101 ways in which they are aroused.
Brian, you didn't just...
No, sorry.
Oh, that feels good.
I'm Sister Mary Voluptua from over at St. Betty's. And the girls sent me down here to meet you new postulants and present them with this little gift. Sort of as a welcome to the wonderful world of Nundum.
Ow!
I'm right here.
Hey,
Hey.
Detective Cooper.
And here he is, the man himself, actor, director, musician, and co-host of the Party Nerds podcast. Richard, or should I say Ricardo Luigi Gambiello? Is that?
That was because my father's side of the family is originally from Livorno, from northern Italy. Obviously, Gabai is from, and so it turns out that we're not sure if it was true, but that the family name used to be Gabriello. And so that was peak family lore at the time. So I used that name. For sure, we are Italian. My brother's kid did the DNA thing, and she's 25% Italian. So for sure, my father's side of the family is 100% Italian. But yeah, and I love that video you put together. So many amazing memories and deaths, and you ended with my favorite one. And unfortunately, just so everybody knows, I no longer have that P.O. box in Hollywood. So shockingly, there were times when it would be stuffed with mail, you know.
Nice.
It was very, 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 always very grateful for that. But man, that was fun to see. I had forgotten, you mentioned the late, great Julie Strain, and I forgot that I was in that movie with her. When you've been blessed or cursed, depending on how you look at it, to be in as many films as I am, sometimes you forget. And that was that Ghost movie. I think it was like a 4 or 5 day gig, but it was fun.
I bet.
Working with Fred Ray. But yeah, those are a lot of good memories.
13 erotic ghosts in 3D, no less.
Yeah, I remember it all now because he even had what was the red and green 3D.
Oh, right.
As I directed and produced a digital 3D movie called Call of the Wild 3D with Christopher Lloyd and Wes Studi and right now, completely different genre than your show focuses on. A family film, but thankfully, in my middle age, although to use Michael Caine's joke, I think he was like 68 or something, and they asked him, how does he feel to be a middle-aged actor? And he's like, well, I don't know if I'm middle-aged. I don't know too many people that are 134. I don't know if I'm middle-aged, but yeah, and now here in my middle age, I'm proud of everything I've done.
Well, so you should be. It's a lot of effort to make even one film, not alone many.
I couldn't agree with you more. I always say anyone who finishes a film, I mean, less so now because it is kind of easy, but anyone who actually finishes and releases and exposes themselves by showing the film they've made is worthy of an award. It is an accomplishment.
It is. Yeah, some people are a bit harsh on films, but yeah, when it's like because you're a producer, writer, and director on many of the stuff in the past.
Correct.
And that was using the film technically on film and editing on film, so it's not like an iPhone, take a picture and then edit it on the fly. It's a lot more.
Yeah, my favorite thing, the good news is now anyone can make a movie, and the bad news is now anyone can make a movie. And the same thing with distribution, right? I mean, you have worldwide distribution on your show. I have worldwide distribution on my Party Nerds podcast that I'm hosting with Robert Carradine, and that's good and fun. But you know, it's a new world, right? I mean, you know, when I went to make the first film I wrote, produced, directed, and starred in, Assault of the Party Nerds, which was a direct ripoff of my partner on the podcast movie Revenge of the Nerds. That was kind of a Revenge of the Nerds, Animal House, which were my two favorite films when I was in college.
Why not?
In high school, college. So, you know, I had to rent equipment, and I had to use a film lab, and I bought reels of film from Kodak, and there was no video assist. There was no video tap. I was on a set. I'd be like to my cinematographer, I'm like, here, you know, and I didn't see the footage until I didn't see, it was 4 days of sync sound and then 1 day without sound, MOS. And I didn't see any of the footage until we had shot everything.
Yeah. Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. And we, my partner on the movie and my friend Michael Becker and I, we rented it was called a flatbed, a Steenbeck, with film reels, you know, like a thing. And there's pieces of tape stuck all around the walls, pieces of film with tape all along the walls of the apartment, and a bin. And like, if we thought about changing an edit, we would go to lunch first. I mean,
right.
You had to like pull the tape off and like maybe cut your finger again and lose a frame, and you had to resync the sound because the sound and the picture were not connected. Imagine that concept, kids. You know, so it was freaking. It was not only a joy, but it was really a job. You couldn't look at a scene 20 different ways and decide which one you like better. Also, there's a curse that comes with that, you know, because, you know, it was always the case that films are never finished. They're just eventually they're abandoned. I mean, either you have to deliver it or you just can't take it anymore, but you could work on them forever. So.
Well, yes, I think Kubrick was still editing, was it Shining for like into the 2000s, right before he died? He couldn't get it right.
Yeah. I feel that way with my music.
Of course.
The movies I let go, also, you know, most of them, you know, once they're out, they're, you know, while I'm blessed to control a certain amount of my library, most of them, they're gone, you know. But with the music, every time I hear one of my records, it just annoys me. And, you know, whoever I'm with, like, what are you hearing?
That sounds fine to me, yeah. Because I guess you do the score, well, the soundtracks to a lot of your films, of course. Also, the band is the Czechs, rocking tunes from the Czechs.
Richard Gabai and the Czechs, and I made an album a few years ago that's streaming on all the services. Richard Gabai and the Czechs, because I didn't know what happened in between when I made all those movies, and I didn't do the score. I always had great composers working on the score, but I did all the songs, and which was really fortuitous because it was something I did because I liked and I enjoyed it, and I thought, and I had no budget, so I wasn't going to go buy any. But what's great is I sort of from that birthed a career in placing songs in other people's movies and in music publishing. So it was very, very fortuitous, and I'm grateful for that. But anyway, so I went in between when the early days, and I had my band and we played all the clubs on the Sunset Strip, and we had a lot of fun, and actually the band that became Stone Temple Pilots, they were called Mighty Joe Young for their first album. Like there was a summer where every other Saturday night at this club called the Coconut Teaser on the Sunset Strip, they opened up for us. So Stone Temple Pilots used to open up for us. I mean, unbelievable. And but the in between that time and when I started gigging again, I guess some people in New Zealand started a band called the Czechs, and you know we were the Czechs before the internet.
Right. Yes.
So even though there's all kinds of newspaper clippings with our names in it when we played the nightclubs, and you know we sold a bunch of cassettes in LA since we were never like a major label act. These guys then sold a few records, I guess, in New Zealand, and I before COVID, I decided I wanted to rock again in public. And I put together a little combo, and we played this. We set up a gig at a club called Molly Malone's in LA, and as soon as it went up, I guess the club was getting calls saying, "Is it Richard Gabai or is it these guys from New Zealand?"
Right.
So now I went as Richard Gabai in the checks, and I don't know. In retrospect, maybe I should have just used my name, but I encourage everybody to stream that album because it has songs I wrote more recently, and it has some of the songs from the original movies that I recorded. I'm never going to be completely happy with the recording, but I recorded them much more as I intend. And check it out. It's a good record. I recorded it. I don't know how old you are, most of your listeners are, but Glenn Campbell, who was one of the greatest country artists and guitar players of all time, I actually recorded it in the family studio. His son, Cal Campbell, produced the record, and I got to hold on to some of Glenn's guitars and stuff. And Cal did an amazing job making that record with me. So I'm really proud of it. The album's called Double Life.
Okay.
There you go. And I'm living a quadruple life. So I think I'm going to have another record.
Well, I was going to ask you, would you prefer acting or directing? But is it acting, directing, or the life of a musician?
Well, I've had, it's interesting because I started out just like, I originally just wanted to be an actor and a musician. I was a musician. I had a band in high school. The checks were from high school.
Right. And
what happened is I immediately, when I got out of college, I was really lucky. And I immediately booked a national beer commercial as an actor for Old Milwaukee Genuine Draft. And it was a big shoot at Dodger Stadium. And in those days, and I imagine you still do on some commercials, but in those days, like if you got a national beer commercial, you're making some pretty good money. And I was very blessed. I was sitting in my apartment and, sitting on my couch watching, whatever, Jerry Springer and eating grapes and pretzels, like my agent to call me to go to another audition, and I was raised, and from the time I was 16, I always had a part-time job. Even when I was in college, like my parents paid for my tuition, and my dad told me to get a job to pay for my room and board. And I was a file clerk for a law office when I was going to college. I was always working. And then I got out of college, and I was kind of not really working. And then I booked this legendary movie called Nightmare Sisters for Dave Dakota. I didn't know anything about. Honestly, I didn't know. I mean, I had done one other movie. I did this movie called The Whitmores Are Having Company, which became a movie called Night Visitors, kind of an art film about Christmas drama, family drama. And then I booked Nightmare Sisters. It was from an ad in Dramalog, which was like a acting casting newspaper in Hollywood at the time. Physical paper audition here.
Well, right.
And I knew I didn't know much about filmmaking, so the idea that it was like a 4 or 5 day movie didn't mean anything to me. It was a movie, and I met Dave Dakota at his office, the director, and he's like, "We shoot 20 pages the first day. Your work's cut out for you." And I went home and I learned that friggin' 20 pages. And I came to work, and we did 20 pages, and I nailed it. I didn't miss a word, and I was like a serious actor. And I came to the set the next day, and all the girls were in their frumpy outfits. I don't know if you know the film.
Oh yeah.
But they're all in their frumpy outfits. And then the next day, I had a later call the second day, and I came in at like 10 or 11 o'clock, and in the middle of the living room, there's like Michelle Bauer and Brink Stevens and Linnea in all of their glory boiled down, and there was like, what is going on here? None of that, by the way, none of that was in the script. It's like it says like Ken Hall's script. It was like they transform into beautiful love goddesses, but it didn't say like they're naked in the dining room, So I didn't, and as a 20-year-old, we were talking before we went on the air about how big America is. American red-blooded male. It was very challenging just to stay focused. And I also didn't really know what I was doing, but it turned out to be a really great experience. And I had a conversation with Dave afterwards, and I said, "Well, how much did this movie cost?" And he said $40,000. So I said to myself, so that just means if I have $40,000, I can make my own movie,
Makes sense.
So I did. And so, and I know you asked me what I prefer. So kind of getting to that. So the punchline is then when I made Party Nerds, I found myself directing. I wrote the Party Nerds script in a weekend on a typewriter with my friend Michael by my side. Like we put all the scenes on index cards, which was his idea. And he would hand me a card, I would type a scene. He'd hand me a card, I would type a scene. And I got a buzz on it. Like I knew these characters. And while some of my work has had disastrous results, that script is actually really funny. It's like sincerely funny. I watched it again recently after forgiving myself for making it. We released a Blu-ray. We released a double Blu-ray of the two Party Nerds movies, and it also has a CD of the original recordings of the checks.
Ah, okay.
It's like a 3-disc set, which is phenomenal. It's kind of it's a Party Nerds anthology, if you were, a little Richard Gabai starter kit. But then so the punchline was I really felt phenomenal and in my element in that moment. And then I made Virgin High next. And Virgin High was like, then I went to a better recording studio. We recorded even better music. I'd written some better songs, well, not better songs, but maybe a little more sophisticated. We did better arrangements. I met my friend Tony, who helped me with the production. And so I really felt in the groove, kind of doing it all. And now, then I did a bunch of other things, like, life. I got on this role of making all these thrillers, and I made a Western, and I loved all of it. But now that I'm in a position, I'm blessed to be in a position to sort of take my foot off the gas, because we have 3 children, and they're our youngest is a sophomore in college.
Right.
So we're pretty much, we've done our job. I mean, when you're thinking about I was blessed to always have to find and create work for myself that made us enough money to live good and raise the kids.
Okay.
So but now that I don't, and I'm reevaluating your very question, I have refocused on acting. I've started picking up some gigs here and there. I did 3 or 4 things in the last year. In fact, I'm doing a film with Fred at the end of this year.
Jacko too.
Yeah. And I'm playing a lot of guitar. So, but do I want to direct again? Yeah, I can't wait. I think whereas I have passed on some opportunities to direct, just because it would have been like an opportunity for make a bad version of a movie I've already done well.
Right.
Like my the movies I made for A&E, which were premieres on Lifetime in the US and like on TF1 in France, and I'm sure maybe some other channel in the UK. I don't know what the deal is, but I mean, I'm proud to say they're damn good movies with really good casts, and the production is slick, and we gave them a lot of bang for their buck. That all started with, I made a film called Insight.
Yes.
With Sean Patrick Flannery and Natalie Z and Christopher Lloyd. That's the second time I work with Chris, and Adam Baldwin and a bit of on and on, great cast and a great script that my friend Scott brought me. And that led me to the deal with A&E to make these movies. And we made 8 really good thrillers. And at the time when I really needed to make good money, and thank God I did,
Right.
So now I definitely want to direct again, but I don't want to direct the same movie on a lower budget.
Yeah.
I don't want to make a $250,000 version of a movie. I did really great $1 million version of it. Because it's not, it takes a lot of your time and a lot of your soul, and you for a very small paycheck. So
yeah, that's true.
But I think in my essence, I'm an actor and a musician, and directing, it kind of brings all that together. And it also lets you kind of have more control and hire your friends to be in the movies with you, and
Nice. So if Disney comes calling with a $250 million budget Marvel film, would you say no?
Of course, I would. I think what I would do is I would use my vast experience in the low budget world, and maybe for $50 million, make it look like the $250 million movies. Maybe keep $50 million for myself, and for $100 million, I would freaking house every homeless person in Los Angeles. I don't know how the hell we spend like billions of dollars. And there's like people living under a bridge like a half mile from my house. but that's a whole nother podcast.
Well, yeah, because I don't know where the money goes. It doesn't seem to be
I
appear on
don't
the
know where
screen.
I do not know where the money goes. I don't know where the money goes, but of course I would. I want to direct again, and the only reason like I haven't recently is because there hasn't been the right opportunity, the right thing, and it's I've directed almost 30 movies, and I'm blessed that I don't have to go take a directing gig for something that's going to rip my soul out. This business will eat you alive.
Yes, many people have mentioned this.
I've risen from the dead several times, and I'm feeling really good right now. So
good. So it stays that way. Because your Assault Party Nerds, was it shot in 5 days?
Party Nerds, yeah, 4 days with on 16 millimeter film, and then Virgin High was 9 days.
Right.
And then Hot Under the Collar was 12 days.
Okay.
Yeah, and those Virgin High and Hot Under the Collar were on 35 millimeter. But Virgin High was like $150,000 finished on 35 millimeter. And what people don't realize now, when they talk about people making a movie or like if you take Party Nerds, $40,000 movie, people now talk about making a $50,000 movie. But it's like with iPhones, there's no cost other than food.
Well, exactly.
Food and locations, and when it was a $40,000 movie, I mean, it was at least 20 grand in film lab.
Yeah, costs are good.
Yeah, there were costs. And Virgin High 35 millimeter. I mean, 35 millimeter film finished to a stereo answer print. I have the answer print here, and we used the 35 millimeter prints of Virgin High and Hot Under the Collar to make this Blu-ray reissue of those two movies.
Not good.
And it's funny because the whole time, by the way, when I was making all those thrillers, starting, I made family films. I made Motocross Kids with Josh Hutcherson, and I made Pop Star with 3 Generations of Pop Stars, and Wonder Dogs, which became Miracle Dogs 2. So I made all these family films. I produced a film called, and I was always hiding from, the stuff I'd done in the past. Right. And also it was at the time when our kids were really small, and it could have been embarrassing, or but then when I was doing all the time, then I segued into these thrillers, and I was really kind of shying away from even talking about, like when I did a Western that Universal picked up, I guess it's like 6 or 7 years ago now. And I was doing some press for it, and one of the interviewers was like, "Hey, didn't you star in Virgin High?" And I was like, "I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about this Western I just made with Stephen Lang."
Yes, justice.
Yeah, but that was wrong. And I actually, speaking of people that have actual amazing careers, I made the reference to the Michael Caine joke. I read this interview with Ron Howard. And he had gotten advice from Paul McCartney. Talk about, name dropping people that actually have amazing careers, that are actually beyond belief talented. And I guess Ron Howard had this thing, which is completely different. Like, I don't know why he wouldn't want to talk about, being on Happy Days or all his child acting and all that. But he said when he gets interviewed, he hates talking about that stuff. He just wants to talk about what he's working on now. Like when he made Apollo 13. He just wanted to talk about Apollo 13. And Paul McCartney was like, well, I was in the Beatles. People ask me about the Beatles. You got to do that. And Ron Howard said, yeah, he goes, I realize that. Like, to embrace it. And it's of course a ridiculous analogy, because not only have I not made Apollo 13, but I certainly wasn't in the Beatles. But it's still sage advice. Like, yeah, people would interview me about one of the thrillers, and I would be like, oh, now you're going to talk about Dinosaur Island. Oh my God. A movie that wouldn't stop being on television, but now I just bring it on. Let's talk about Dinosaur Island,
More Michelle Bauer. Yes, please.
Yeah, she's been a great friend of mine since really we met on Nightmare Sisters.
Right. Yes.
But we've been friends since Party Nerds.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, she's like one of those. I don't want to say she's one of the guys, but she's one of the guys, you know?
Yeah, lovely. Because, yeah, you've had her on your podcast as well recently.
Yeah, she was so funny. She called me a man whore.
Well, how many takes did it take you to apply sunscreen to her in that clip we had?
You know, one of the reasons that you'll notice I work for the same people a lot. You know, it's always just one take with Gabai. You know, I by the way, again, like I remember, I know that I was in that movie, you know, and I know I have a romantic scene with Ashley Ray in that movie, but I had completely forgotten about that.
It's a good joke as well.
Yeah, I had completely forgotten about that. I just out of sight, out of mind. You know,
yeah.
It was funny, and that was a cool movie actually. And my car is in that movie.
Oh, right.
My Barracuda convertible is in that movie, and a few of my songs are in that movie too. Fred's licensed a bunch of my songs. God bless him.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, as you were saying, you've done Christmas, comedies, thrillers, horrors, westerns, sci-fi, children's. You're a jack of all trades. Is that what any director can be? Because a lot of people get pigeonholed, like Wes Craven was just. He tried to branch out from horror.
I don't know Wes, but I wouldn't. My guess would be that's what he wants to do, right? But the interesting thing about directing is that it's a trade. You know, there are technical aspects of how you shoot a movie that apply to any movie. So. In theory, like as an actor, you can't be in any movie. It's just not. I mean, if you're a star, right, you can, but then often that happens. Well, that person was miscast because they got the job because they were a star. You know, you're not necessarily right for every movie, and I'm not saying you're right to direct any genre, but I would say it's more so. It's because there's a trade. It's a craft. I mean, people are better at different things. Like, you know, some people are really good at action, and I've done action, and some people are really, you know, suit to drama, whatever. I would say that for me, I feel like, you know, I love all kinds of movies. You know, I grew up, you know, the first movies that I watched were with my dad, like Westerns and the Universal horror films, and he loved musicals, you know. So I mean, like literally MGM musicals. So you know, like that's where I mean, the song and dance number in Hot Under the Collar is a little homage to like an MGM musical. We just break into song and dance in the middle of the movie. But I feel like I could direct any genre, and I've done it, and I think a lot of directors can, and then a lot of directors don't want to. I think there's an interview with Sean Baker, who just won a bunch of Oscars for making a Nora,
right?
And I think he referenced a Marvel film, and I think he said something like now I could kind of do what I want, probably, and it's not going to be go make a Marvel movie, right? Yeah. But I had. Speaking of Marvel movies, we had Sean Gunn on our podcast.
Yes,
and now he's DC.
He's DC now, isn't he? Jumped ship.
He jumped ship with his brother, and he's a great guy. What a talented actor he is, and yeah. So I don't know, but Marvel, I'll bring that $250 million movie in for, I don't know. I don't want to overblow it. 150 million.
Yeah, that's the same.
We'll be able to do a lot of good with the rest of that money sometime.
Have you done much green screen work where it's just a room that's green and you're there?
Well, it's funny. Another movie that I haven't seen in a really long time, Virtual Girl, almost the whole thing is green screen. That her whole virtual room, there was a bed in there, and then just. But I think we didn't use green. We used something else.
Okay.
We've been blue or green, but I have done it, and I've done it in other movies too. But there was a good amount in Virtual Girl. And it's another movie that, you know, like filling that niche, like we needed to have a certain amount of nudity in it to make sure it would sell. I think there's actually a really good movie in there too, you know?
Yeah. It
You
is.
know?
Yeah. There's a thriller there. I won't spoil it for anyone. But,
It's got a great twist at the end.
See. So yes, born on February 14th, 1964, Valentine's Day. Bummer.
Every
Is
year.
that
That is the world's greatest birthday.
Oh, is it? I was gonna wonder if it was good or bad.
What at all nothing could be bad about it. It is if you're with someone, you're kind of off the hook. It's your birthday. And if you're not, you're there were a couple of years like just at a bar in Hollywood is pretending to be sad and how's it going? Oh, it's all right. It's my birthday. I'm alone. No way, it's not your birthday. Well, if it is, are you gonna give me a really nice birthday kiss right now? Well, like, yeah, bullshit. Take out my license. Boom. It's like, no, you don't have to kiss me. You don't have to. But anyway, it is a great birthday, and okay. I've enjoyed it every year. And the great thing also is any woman who's ever done me wrong, and there's a long list. There's no doubt because women never forget. Okay. At some point during the day on February 14th, wherever they are, they're thinking, it's Richard's birthday today. They'll never forget it.
The one that got away.
Valentine's Day is my birthday.
Yeah.
It's unforgettable. And I know from people that have said anything like Christmas is like the worst birthday because you don't get double the presents. Valentine's Day has always worked for me. It's always been great.
Excellent. So you mentioned that you did part-time work because was it Virgin Highs? You work as a burger joint in the beginning of that one? Flipping burgers.
Oh, that was hot under the collar.
Hot under the collar, yeah.
That was Arby's roast beef.
Have you ever flipped burgers professionally, or?
I fried corn dogs professionally.
Okay.
My first job ever was at the Northridge Mall, which I guess became worldwide famous because of the '93 earthquake. It fell. But I worked at the Northridge Mall at a place called Carousel Hot Dogs, Carousel Snacks, and it was literally like a Ridgemont High type of thing, like with the Perry's Pizza, because I had this orange smock and this orange plastic visor, and it was like corn dogs and crap like that. And every night they had this oil you fried the corn dogs in, and every night it was my job to they would strain the oil. They reused it the next day, but they ran it through this paper thing, and it was always hot as frick. Like I would pick it up and I'd be like, and it would always splatter, like burn my face. And like they would never, I was 16 years old. And then one day I'm in North there and I needed there was a light bulb out in the middle of the restaurant. It was like, in a mall, it's like a 14-foot ceiling or something, like really freaking high. In the store, not like the mall, which was like 100, whatever, but and they had a giant ladder. Like the manager is like, Richard, get the ladder, change that light bulb. Like, okay, I get this giant ladder and I'm climbing up there. And when I was 16, I looked like I was about 12 years old.
Same.
And I was up there like changing a light bulb, and I'm scared. I don't like heights so much, and I'm up this ladder. It's kind of rickety, I mean, the things we did that no one would get away with now, but like literally like a 16-year-old climbing a freaking 12-foot ladder to change a light bulb that's 14 feet. And I was on like the last step, and I'm like, wow. And this lady goes, I'm calling the labor board. This is child labor. There's no way that kid is 16 years old. And then I'm like, shaking. Get down. I'm calling the labor board, and she's like running to a payphone. It was pre-cell phones and all that. Yeah, I did. I worked that. Oh, and then my second job was at Subway. And did they have Subways in the UK? Yeah.
Eventually.
Anyway, they went back to, not Subway sandwich shops.
yeah, Subway sandwich. Yeah. Eventually, we're late to the party on most things.
They went back to slicing the meat in the store, but for a really long time, it was I guess to compete with the other guys who are. So my first 2 hours of every day was in the back of the Subway, like slicing meat and cheese and all that. So I have a lot of food experience.
Okay.
But the reason we were in Arby's roast beef, not only because I really liked Arby's, but Burt Ward, who's a good friend of mine and had become a good friend by Hot on the Collar, his wife Tracy, her dad was one of the owners of Arby's roast beef. So we got in that location for free.
Nice. Always
So we
nice.
got all the curly fries we could eat with horsey sauce.
Yes, is that good or bad? Well, yeah, to see that Burt Ward was in several of your films, and he seemed to be game for anything in those.
Well, he's a great actor.
Hmm.
You know, he's a great actor. You know, he definitely went for it. And again, like when we did the commentary tracks, me and Michelle, which one did I do with Michelle? With Michelle, we did the Party Nerds movies. But when I watched Virgin High and Virgin High especially, Bert is so good in that film. It's like you really believe he's her dad and that he's concerned, and that him and his wife have a kind of wild, fun relationship. But it's sincere. He's a great actor, you know. I mean, game for anything, like sort of like maybe, you know, anyone would be. He's a great actor. He did great, and you know, I first met him when I was a little kid. I didn't meet him, but my dad took us to a screening of the Batman and Robin movie in Manhattan, and when they were making a personal appearance, and my dad held me up so I could see it. And then to be in a position where I hired him to be in my films, and I was in his wedding party, and when he got married to Tracy, and I was at his Walk of Fame ceremony when he got his star on the Walk of Fame. So he's a great guy. He's a great underappreciated actor. We have an episode with him coming up on the Party podcast.
Cool.
Which is a great episode. Such a great guy. Him and Tracy are two of my just best friends. Just the nicest.
Nice. Well, you seem to have a lot of friends in the industry, which is rare, I think, isn't it, in Hollywood? You can pick up all these people that you work with, and then.
Well, you know, it's interesting. I mean, I don't feel like I have a lot of friends, and my wife tells me I have a lot of friends. Because there is the element of, you know, when you're making a film, you have a lot more friends than when you're not.
Right.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah, okay.
But the other thing is, in defense of that, is just it's like a tough business. So you always have to be looking for work, and you always have to be, you know, pounding the pavement. But yeah, I've had you know, the people that are on our podcast are all friends of me and Bobby, you know, that either we've worked with or been friends with over the years. And yeah, but it's an interesting thing because you know, you are like, like with Bert, you know, we talk, you know, but you know, it's very in adult life, I think for anybody, you almost only see the people you work with in your family at a certain, it's like, life is so busy. But then when you see each other, it's just great, you know, like nothing is past. Yeah, I've got a good bunch of friends.
Good. Yeah, because I was looking in the background. I can't see Bobby on the sofa there, so I guess he's not there today. So yeah.
Oh no, he doesn't live in my house. This is my house. We do shoot the podcast in my living room. Bobby is here a lot. I'm gonna. I'll see Bobby tomorrow, actually. But yeah. That would be hilarious if he was just sitting back there.
Just walks in, sits down, and opens a beer.
Yeah.
But yes, Quentin Tarantino's favorite is Vice Girls of yours, apparently.
Well, he told me that he loves it. I think I mentioned earlier, I was making these family films in 2005 already. I made this film called Pop Star, which had 3 generations of pop stars in it. David Cassidy from the Partridge Family, and David Cassidy was the biggest pop star in the country, world actually for a while. Leif Garrett and Aaron Carter, and unfortunately we've lost David and Aaron. But I had just made that film, and for New Line Cinema, and we had a premiere on Hollywood Boulevard, and we walked across the street to this pretty famous dive bar called Bordner's in Hollywood. And when we walked in, I walked in with, you know, a couple of my crew guys and my wife, and in the corner, Quentin Tarantino was like holding court with the people, just talking and whatever. And he's looked over towards the door, and he's like, you know, I'm looking over my shoulder, and I go looking back and going, And my wife like pushes me. She goes, "That's Quentin Tarantino. He wants to talk to you." I'm like, I was thinking there was somebody behind me. He was trying to signal.
Yeah.
And when I got like 10 feet, 10 feet away from him, he's like, "You're Richard Gabai. You made Assault of the Party Nerds. There's 2 Assault of the Party Nerds. You made Vice Girls. I love Vice Girls. There's only 1 Vice Girls. There's 5 Vice Academies or whatever."
That is true.
And then he proceeded to interview me for, he poured me champagne and interviewed me for a long time about my career. And in Vice Girls, I play a character named Quentin. Which imagine, have you seen the film? You cut that? Yeah. And I'm wearing the suit from Reservoir Dogs, basically. And I said, my character Quentin, it's an homage, And he's like, "It's love. It's all love. I love that film. I love it. I love it." And he pounds it, just, "I love it. I love it. It's all love." We finished that conversation, and then he told me he loves the film, and he loves Virgin High, and this and that and the other thing. And then I met other people told me that he's a real cinephile, and he loves all that stuff. And when the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood premiere happened, Bobby was in his film Django, was in Quentin's film Django. Okay. Carradine was in that, and he had actually met with Quentin about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and he ended up not doing it. I think actually the scene that he wanted him to didn't get shot. Didn't get shot. But when there was the premiere, like 3 days out, I said, "Bobby, why aren't you going to the premiere?" I go, "Don't you have like an email for the assistant or something, right?" He's like, "Yeah, I don't want to be that guy." "Well, I'm that guy. Give me your freaking." So I wrote. He had an email from like an assistant, and I said, "Hey, dear, whatever her name was, I know it's in 3 days and it's probably overbooked, but FYI, myself and actor director Richard Gabai would love to come to the premiere on Wednesday at the Chinese. If you have any space, no worries." 5 minutes later, "Quentin would love to have you both there." And we went up to the publicist or wherever to get our tickets. And I figured like they're just going to give me like 2 tickets, or a ticket to go into the movie. And he goes, "Mr. Gabai, Quentin would be very honored if you'd walk the red carpet." So Bobby and I walked the red. We did it together, Bobby and I walked the red carpet. I couldn't believe it. I'm waiting for Quentin. I'm man at bar in your next film. Yeah. But anyway, it's very gratifying to have people appreciate what you're doing, and I've had a couple of people reach out to me since I started the podcast, which have really, it's really you get so much shade, and everyone is so salty online about everything that it's much easier to bash things than to praise things, I guess. And
that is true.
I definitely, had my ego handed to me enough. So when someone really is hugely successful tells me they love what I did, it makes my day,
Well, yeah. Because, he's only done, 9 films now in this 30 years? So,
yeah, I've been in like 100 and done 30.
He's got a lot of catching up to do, hasn't he?
Yeah. No, but what a great experience to have had. Really cool.
Let's have a look. So will there be a Nerds crossover movie? Because you got you and Bobby together now, so surely that's.
Well, we're open to it, and we have a Party Nerds pop culture podcast that is I guess it's a pilot program for that. So definitely we've talked about it, but it's you wonder how it's like we'd either have to have huge backing or we'd have to make it for nothing.
Yeah.
And then if we made it for nothing, well, while there'd be a group of people that would probably really appreciate it, it probably might yield nothing. So the thing we would need to do is figure out how to be passionate about it. So if we came up with a concept and had a script in our hands that we were passionate about, we'd both jump on it, Yeah. For a while, I talked about a Party Nerds 3, especially during the 3D craze, like Party Nerds 3D.
Yeah.
But, Virgin High, Hot Under the Collar, Party Nerds 2. We'll see what's next. We'll see. We'll see what's next. Something is definitely next. Bobby and I are in a couple of films. We ended up in 3 films in the last year because of the sort of networking of how things go. You know, I'm in a remake of Night of the Living Dead with Vivica.
I was going to mention, see that was coming up. Yeah,
and I go to work on the first day, and the director's like, I just had somebody fall out. I need a name for this other part.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, Bobby Carradine's my buddy. You know, call him. I call Bobby. They made a deal. Bobby's in that.
Cool.
And we're in a film. We're also in another horror film, 3 Killer Pigs. I play a sheriff with Brian Austin Green is my boss, the 90210 kid.
Yeah.
None of us are kids, but we still think we're kids, you know. Yeah, and we also were in a comedy called. It doesn't sound like it's a comedy, and it's a dark comedy called Cowboy Killer.
All right.
A mutual friend of ours, Ben Sollenberger and James Cameron, mutual friends of ours, made this film, and amazing cast, and they asked us both to be in it. So there's 3 films that we did within the last year that Bobby and I are both in, and and the wheels keep turning, man. The wheels keep turning, and I'm just grateful that people keep watching. And I love when I get contacted on social media and when I get comments on the podcast and are interacting with people, because it's really what it's all about. You know, I'm not digging ditches for a living, so it's great to know that what I'm doing is positively impacting somebody's life. You know,
Bringing a smile to someone.
there was this kills me because I'm still not computer savvy and stuff, but I'm okay. There was once, right around the time, I was going to say, when did I made Vice Girls in 1995, I think, 1996. Like around 1997 or so, there was a fan had put up a website called A Tribute to Richard Gabai.
Oh.
If you're out there, it was written in the most beautiful prose, like smarmy yet sincere. I don't know how to describe it. About, you know, me driving around Hollywood in my Barracuda, and I'm always with all of these women, and and if your life is anything really like that, you know, I want to live the life of Richard. It was funny, but it was the first time it went to my heart. Like someone really, they had put pictures, and it was God forbid, it was almost like if someone would have put something up like a funeral memorial, you know.
Right.
Played music, and I'm dying to find that. And I was like, oh, this will always be there. And then I went to look at it one day. I was like, there's a way to screen grab this, right? Or cat. And I went to find it again, and I never found it again. But the bottom line is it's nice to know. And whoever made that website, if you're out there, send me that. The words were hysterical. They were hysterical, and they were heartfelt.
Oh, maybe it was Quentin. Who knows?
Oh, yeah.
Back when he was working in the video shop.
He's a busy man. He likes watching movies, but I'm sure he's busy with much more important things.
Yeah, he's always changing something of his scripts, isn't he? It's going to be a novel now. No, it's a play. It's going to be a musical.
You got to go with your gut.
Because
in London now, right?
Sorry?
He's putting up a play in the UK.
That's what the last thing I heard. Yeah.
They moved from Tel Aviv to London to do this play, him and his wife and kids.
Oh, cool. Just check that out. Because talking of assault partners earlier, was there much stress in that 5 days? Or was it afterwards when it had to be done? No, just
not at all.
Oh, cool.
I have not. Honestly, I can say this sincerely. I have never had real stress on a film set.
Oh, cool.
Never. It's always felt natural, comfortable. I don't go over 12 hours in a day, which is the standard work day in film set. And we did it on Party Nerds. And the actual rap party is in the movie. the fifth day was the wrap party.
Nice.
And we brought in all these because we shot it in what was my fraternity house at USC, the AE Pie House, and we brought kids off the street to come be in the movie, and we shot the wrap party. We finished the footage, then we started shooting the party scene, and then it became the wrap party. And like in those days, I mean, people would drink beers at wrap for real. They don't do that anymore on film sets. They've almost eliminated fun from shooting movies, other than the shooting the movies part, which is still really fun. But the joking around and the rap beers are long gone. I mean, there's joking around, but it's very cautious joking around.
Yeah, because there's consultants you'd have on the set now for your sexy shenanigans, as it were. Intimacy consultants, whatever it be.
Yeah, I've never been involved in any of that, but yeah, intimacy coordinators.
That's it.
I don't, whatever works. I don't know. I haven't filmed anything with any sort of nudity in decades. Yeah, I remember what was the last thing I did?
The
second Virtual Girl movie, Virtual Vegas. I think that was the end of it. And I actually didn't want to. I'm glad that the movie's done well, and I'm proud to have it in my library. But that was a movie I didn't want to make. But I wanted to stay in business with my business partners, and
right.
And we did it, and it continues. It's streaming all over the place, and people like it. So great.
Excellent. Because you had a Menahem Golan, the Canon classic.
Yeah, the great Menahem Golan. He was a great guy.
Right.
And the Virgin High and Hunt of the Collar are now in the MGM library.
Right. And
it's lunch money, but we get a statement once a year with a couple of bucks. Nice. We didn't get, it's not huge or anything, but we had a great experience with him. And he called me several years after. This is a funny story. He called me several years after Hunt of the Collar, and he was like, "Richard, what are you doing?" He had a very thick Israeli accent. Great guy.
Yeah.
He said, I'm in my apartment, and by the way, at the time I was freaking totally not working, Right. I wouldn't say I was broke, but I was broke, pretty much that phase. He goes, "I'm making a film in Belarus." And he goes, it's like, "There's this great part for you." And he goes, "I'm going to fly you into Berlin. You'll land in Berlin, and in your hotel room, you'll have $5,000 in cash." He goes, "You'll work with me for 4 weeks. And I'll take care of you here. First class, everything." He goes, "When you fly home, you'll stop in Berlin. In the hotel room, there'll be another $5,000 in cash." And I'm like, man, at the time, I had a condo, and like my mortgage and my homeowners combined was like $600 a month. So like,
right.
$10 grand was a lot of money, Whenever that was probably like, what year was that? Around 96, 97. Is that 30 years ago? Yeah.
30 years ago. Yes. Doesn't feel like it.
10 grand was, a good chunk of change. Anyway, so I fly to Berlin.
Okay.
And there's an envelope. First, beautiful hotel. Turns out the person funding the movie was a hotel magnate. And about $1,000 in cash. Next day, I fly to Belarus. They picked me up in this KGB limousine. And it was like an old limousine, like a 60s car, but it looked perfect. They picked me up in a limousine. There's this gorgeous girl in there who they told me was my translator. Like, okay. We drove straight to the TV station, and I went on live on like the Entertainment Tonight of Eastern Europe.
Right.
Or Belarus. I don't think it was just Belarus. It was a few countries. And this woman was like the host of the show, my friend. She became my friend, Sasha.
Okay.
We sit in these chairs. I'm like, "What are we doing?" Go, "Oh, we're going on TV. It's an entertainment talk show." I'm like, "Oh, okay." We sit there, and behind me is now like a 4 foot by 7 foot Hot Under the Collar poster. Anyway, that weekend, Hot Under the Collar is opening.
Right.
And then we go from there and we go to the studio, and I get out of the car at the studio, and like all the crew is like lined up like I don't know, kind of like when President Trump went to the UK now, where everyone's kind of like lined up to say hello. It's like I'm walking in there, I'm like, what the hell's going on here, you know? And then at the end of the line is the studio head. He's like, oh, Richard, I see you. And there's Menachem. He goes, you know, we weren't going to greenlight the film until you agreed to be in it. Like, and then Menachem was just laughing. He's like, if I would have told him I wanted 20 grand, he probably would have paid me, you know? I'm just sitting there in my apartment with nothing to do. You know, you're going to pay me 10 grand to go be in a movie in Eastern Europe. But anyway, I don't begrudge him that. He was so great for my career, and he was always great to me. And people have sort of maligned him, I think, in certain articles that I've read, and I found none of it to be true. So it was a great experience, and I got to work with Menachem Golan. And I made a joke, and he was 21st Century Films. He had split off from Canon, and they made dueling Lambada movies. I don't know if you remember. One was called Lambada, and one was called Lambada: The Forbidden Dance, and they were fighting with each other. And I put that joke in Virgin High on this loudspeaker. The movie was a little short, so we made a couple of jokes where we cut away to a loudspeaker speaking to the girls in the Catholic school. Tonight we'll be screening The Bells of St. Mary, starring Bing Crosby. And another one we did was like, there will be no lambada dancing is not allowed. There will be no lambada dancing allowed in the dormitory. That dance is forbidden.
That was
You're going to ask me about Menachem Golan, but there's Menachem Golan in a nutshell.
Thank you. Yeah, I've had a few Canon people on, and I think pretty much all of them are positive about him. So yeah, I know there is the two documentaries about Canon. One's they made, and one other people made, and there are a few people that were upset with him over deals and stuff, I guess, at the time.
I mean, his fault was that he was the eternal optimist. And so he felt like if he wished hard enough, it would come true. And so one of the jobs of like the assistants there were to keep people out of his office. Because apparently if someone would come in his office, they'd get a deal.
Right.
And he couldn't honor every deal, but he meant it.
Yeah.
You know, I had a lot of interesting experiences seeing that firsthand. Not just that he gave everyone a deal, but like he just believed, you know, there was this movie, he made a movie, he was going to make a movie called Bullseye. And it was Roger Moore right after James Bond.
Yeah.
And Sally Kirkland and Michael Winner directed. I didn't know any of that. He gave me the script to read. I had an office in their offices for a while. And I just thought the script was terrible. And I didn't know yet that you don't tell people that.
Okay.
And I didn't know who was attached or anything. He just said he wants me to read this.
Yeah.
I read it and I thought I was like, you know, I don't get it. This doesn't make sense. And it all seems kind of stupid. Oh my God, you know, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't, you know, you kid, you know, Michael Winner is directing and Roger Moore is starring and we're going into production in 4 weeks.
Oh dear.
And anyway, so 6 months later, there's the company screening of the movie and he invites me to the screening and I'm sitting next to him. And the movie was not good. And everyone that worked in the company, like during the credits, well, it's still dark, they all leave. And like, I'm not going to get up. I'm sitting next to Menachem. Looks at me, goes, Richard, what's wrong with this film?
Should we start with the script?
No, it's just, but I really think he just believed if he wished with everything, if he wished hard enough, it would come true. And that, by the way, that same wish is what got me funding for Virgin High and it was released by Columbia Pictures at the time when studios were releasing 2 videos a month. And I have the sales sheet on the left side of the sales sheet. It's Virgin High starring me. And on the other side of the sales sheet, it's The Freshman starring Marlon Brando and Matthew Broderick.
Right.
So if Menachem Golan wasn't Menachem Golan, that wouldn't have happened. So, you know,
Yeah, I know the Apple hit him hard when that didn't become a success. The musical The Apple back in the early '80s.
Yeah, I'm not familiar, but I know he was making films and fighting to make more all the way until the end when he passed away back in Israel.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, still going. The other guy's still going. I can never.
Yeah,
still making films, but yeah, Canon. I did a video on it. Canon, like in 1980, I think they made about 7 films, and then by 1987, they were making 33 films a year. So, and then they were going for the big budget Superman 4, Masters of the Universe, and then cutting the budgets once the films had started being made.
Well, it's hard to be a film company, and it's hard to keep it going, you know. And I've in hindsight is 2020, but like when I made Assault of the Party Nerds, it sold all over the world. So, like if my goal was to become a movie mogul, I would have just made another one right away.
Yeah,
because at the time you could sell anything, right? So, but I was busy being an actor and a rock and roll musician. So it wasn't my motivation. I wasn't really motivated or concerned about making money at all until I got married and had kids. And thankfully, kind of done that. Now got to now rock and roll, acting, make more movies. I would love for the podcast to blow up because it's so much fun. I really feel like I'm in my element there, and everyone subscribe and check out the Party Nerds podcast because it's a good show. It's really a good show. Like, and it's funny you're talking about like, was there any stress? When we did, like when I was on the set of Virgin High after the week, I was like, I knew I had made something that was working.
Okay.
You just have this feeling, it's working. And when we shot our first batch of episodes of the podcast, I was so refreshed and invigorated. I said, this works. This is a natural gig for me, sort of as a host, and with Bobby as a side, co-host / sidekick, one-liners here and there. It really felt right. The show works. So I hope it turns into more. And there's going to be maybe there's going to be even more openings in late night. So you never know where I might land.
Get in the line. But yeah, the thing about YouTube it's more of a marathon than a sprint, unfortunately. But yeah, it's but you can never know because you release a video 1 week, no one sees it, and then 6 months later it just takes off. So you can never predict anything on YouTube, which is my advice to you. Right.
Yeah, the people that are running the channel, said, give it 6 months and we'll see, we're giving it. We love it.
Yeah, that's the main thing. If you're enjoying it, then otherwise you'll be doing a Minecraft or Pokemon videos next if you really want the views. So
no, I don't want. It's funny because it was brought up to me like, like Dean Cain is a friend of mine who was Superman on television, and he's going to be on a future episode of the show. And he was in the news a lot because he's becoming an honorary. He has badges from a lot of different states, sheriff's badges. He's an active duty law enforcement officer, no joke. And he volunteered that he wanted to be an honorary or whatever ICE officer.
ICE.
And so he was all over the news, and they're like, "Well, so you need to do the Dean Cain episode this week." And like, I don't want to do that. First of all, I don't want to talk about politics. And second of all, I don't want to chase headlines. It's not, if it was just views,
it would just you'd get a lot engagement. You'd get a lot of engagement, but it wouldn't all be good engagement, which is depends on what you want.
I don't want to. We shoot our shows and methodically, so they look great. They look like they could be. I don't know how many you've gotten a chance to watch. But it looks like it could be the Tonight Show. It looks like you'd be on.
I thought that's what you were going for, sitting behind your desk and notes and stuff.
I'm Johnny Carson and Bobby's Ed McMahon. If you're old enough to know who those guys were on American Talk Show, he was the Tonight Show that I grew up with. And I want. It looks like a real TV show. And our editor Jeff Murphy does an unbelievable job bringing in the images and keep it moving.
There you go. That's Dead Point. He just mentioned, yeah. Do you want to be like a kind of old horror show host? But could you do that as well? Introduce all your films instead of a horror host.
Yeah, I could. It's funny. One of the other things that came out of the podcast is some people that own some other YouTube channels were talking to me about kind of being like a TCM host. Like I don't know what you see in the UK, but like this guy Ben Mankiewicz introduces movies on TCM, or the Noir Alley guy who introduces the movies. They've actually talked to me about being the guy that introduces some movies on YouTube. So on another channel, which is exciting. Right. I like the idea. Yeah, I would totally do that.
Yeah. Alan Mills, the podcast is great. He watches it every week. There you go.
Oh, my friend.
And he's also said someone Gabai is a legend. Who is that person? Yeah.
You and me and my wife agree.
There you go. So Mr. Dan Horror saying hello. Josh is saying hello. And yeah, I'd rather talk about horror movies and goofy 80s and 80s films I remember seeing in the video store.
There you go.
Because do you collect physical media apart from your own films, or do you have a collection of...
I did, and now I don't.
Right.
But I mean, the number of times I've rebought so many of the films.
Well, exactly, isn't it?
And now the ones that I can't buy and own like digitally in my Apple library, because I like just putting them up and having them in 4K. I'm like going to get the disc and all. So I do have a collection, but I don't have. I had a ton. The main thing that the movies, I still have a good amount. I still have a wall of movies.
Okay.
And I have like a few shelves of my movies that I've kept, some VHSs and the different DVD. I mean, Party Nerds has been out on, 4 different DVD iterations, and I have.
Okay.
But I do. But the thing that I've really leaned down on is music. I had a huge CD collection, and I've leaned it way, way, way down. I'm going to admit, I've leaned it way down.
I thought you were going to say vinyl collection, and then, but yes.
Oh, the vinyl I have.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. The vinyl I have. I even have my dad's vinyl. He has a lot of original opera and classical and musicals and a lot of original Sinatra albums.
Nice.
So I have all of my dad's vinyl, my vinyl. Yeah, the vinyl that's like a separate story. But I haven't kept the cassettes, and most of the CDs are toast. They're just. I mean, I get in my car and I just tell iTunes what I want to hear, or I tell them to play songs they think I'd like.
Right.
And or I'm in the mood to hear something. I mean, all the CDs I had. I mean, the number of times I have rebought, the stuff that I grew up loving, like Springsteen and Beatles and all these different bands, all the new wave. I rebought it on so many different things, and and now, hang on, send that to voicemail. Are you still there?
Yep.
Okay, good. Well, a call came in and it switched my screen.
Okay.
My son is a really, really, really great musician and filmmaker. It puts me to shame. But thankfully, when I play out now, he's my keyboard player and sings harmony vocals, and he plays bass, and yeah. So
oh, that's nice.
I'm going to ride his coattails.
Oh, why not?
Absolutely.
You paid for his first many years, and now he can support you.
Yeah, we are planning to make a film together, God willing, in 2026. So hopefully it comes together.
Nice. That'd be good.
I know it's hard to even comprehend, but he's even better looking, smarter, and more talented. I know that's hard to comprehend. It'll be proven.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you go.
Cool.
But just one last question. What was the hand business when you play the priests in your films?
Oh, yeah. All that, it was completely organic. Like it was not it was not scripted. It was not, I don't know where it came from, but I started when I was walking in. I was just, well, I knew the gentleman who wrote Virgin High went to Catholic school.
Right.
See, my idea was I wanted to make like a Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and he said, well, why don't we make one at Catholic school? I was like, well, you know, I'm a New York Jewish guy. I don't know anything about it. He goes, I went to Catholic school. And he goes, it was like his fantasy. So that's why apparently it's very authentic.
Right.
And in fact, I was at a funeral. A friend of mine lost his dad, unfortunately, and I was at a Catholic funeral the other day. I was like, oh man, my movie was really authentic. I was hearing like, praise be God, and you know, that's how the services work. But anyway, he wrote all that stuff, but none of I knew there was a thing like I'd seen that.
Yeah.
I went to my friend's Eagle Scout thing like when I was a kid, and I saw a priest do that, and I knew everyone knows that.
Spectacles, wallet, and watch.
The double thing. I was on set, and I just walking in. I was like, I just started doing this, and like people were starting to crack up, you know. And then I got into the thing where I was walking by these statues. So every time I'd walk by the statue, I like did the same pose because I felt like he was trying to be authentic, right? But it was completely organic. It wasn't scripted. I didn't rehearse and then think, oh, this is going to be like I didn't go in front of a mirror and rehearse these moves and, you know, all that. It just happened. I became the character. Jerry Kaminsky is a real character, a real organic character, but it just happened. It just, you know, the illusion of intention, you know, sometimes the funniest things. And in Virgin High, when I did shoot that hook shot, it was the first take.
All right, I believe you.
God is my witness.
Yep. All right. Thank you, Richard, Ricardo, or whoever you are, Richie.
Yeah, all of those things. Thank you so much. It was great chatting with you, and look forward to catching up again soon. And
all right. Don't
believe the rumors. Rock and roll is here to stay.
It is. It's never gone away, has it? So
never.
All right. I'll say thank you and good night. Play the.
Here endeth the lesson.